Yo, it's your boy ZZZettaSlow, and I'm coming at you guys so late at the night because we just got some more Zenless Zone Zero news. So, as was talked about in a prior article that they released actually, and I haven't talked about that, so I will talk about that after this. Zenless Zone Zero is doing some type of collaboration with Street Fighter 6 because Zenless Zone Zero is inspired by Street Fighter 6 in some form or fashion. So, I don't know what this is, but it says, we just say making a game is meaningless, valuing the needs of players, delivering what they want to experience is both very important. I just want to give players a really cool game experience and allow our new players to experience the joy of this game. Zenless Zone Zero cross Street Fighter 6 Creators Roundtable. Full reveal on June 19th. And it's kind of crazy because that falls in line with another piece of news we literally just talked about. Zenless Zone Zero is supposed to be doing their first special broadcast the day before. It'll be happening at 7:30 a.m. EST. Now I'll be streaming it. A lot of your favorite content creators will be streaming it. But definitely I'm streaming it, so come over here anyway. But let's take a look at what this is. This is gonna be really interesting. I've kind of already took a look at it, but I was kind of in shock the first time looking at this. Like literally, I never thought I'd really legit officially see something where Zenless Zone Zero and Street Fighter 6 are directly collaborating to make a product or to work on some type of broadcast for you guys. So let's take a look. And they got the website song going? Grace? Nekomata?
带给玩家一个很爽的体验。
Okay. And it's really crazy because this is a real video. They got Shuei Matsumoto and everybody up in here. Takayuki Nakayama. It's so crazy because I play both of these games and oh my goodness. So I am at a loss of words because like I was saying, bro, I literally played both of these games and they have literally everyone that is in play there, right? They got Zenyu Lee from the Hoyoverse squad, and then you got a lot of people from the Street Fighter squad, and that's so amazing. I don't know what this could entail. I don't know what this could be. Could this be a real collaboration between the games? I don't know. We're gonna find out next week, next Saturday in fact, so literally 7 days from now we will know exactly what they're talking about, or at least the details of when they're gonna be talking about it. I'm not gonna lie, I hope it's something that happens at EVO because I'm gonna be going there. I'm a huge fighting game player, but I also love Zenless, so I'm looking forward to all the information that comes with this. But let's take a look at that article because I talked about it and we haven't seen it yet. Alright, so here is the article. It is talking about Zenless Zone Zero's producer revealing surprising inspirations for the game. So initially, I think a lot of people thought that the game was based off Persona 5 just because of the city, the overall like very active aesthetic, and it's definitely not Persona. So let's take a look at that and we'll talk about it. So it says here, Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail Studios Hoyoverse's newest upcoming title, Zenless Zone Zero, is a fusion of what you'd expect from the Hoyoverse games with totally new ideas. The game studio's development processes are largely a mystery, but in an interview with Zenless Zone Zero producer Zenyu Lee at media event, IGN learned a little more about what goes on to kicking off a entirely new game at Hoyoverse. Zenless Zone Zero's future, at least in this particular team's position on generative AI. Zenless Zone Zero, or ZZZ, is an action game with heavy emphasis on flashy urban landscapes set in an apocalyptic world. Players take their team of 3 into monster-infested roguelike zones, then bounce back out to the city landscapes to complete side quests to get to know characters better. Maybe grab a cup of coffee or a bowl of ramen. Like in other Hoyoverse games, a variety of stylish characters with combat specialization is arguably the biggest focal point, as the entertainment landscape has been tumult with a rush of development in generative AI. We couldn't help but ask, is Zenless Zone Zero's team using generative AI in development, or is it planning to? Today, no, is what Lee said, and you saw him actually in that video too. For the most part, art we've not tried it, but we have tried a part of it to touch on the programming. As for the art aspect, I think the human touch is more meaningful right now, and this is what our team is pursuing. I think this is huge in this specific instance, honestly. The fact that they are making sure that they are not using AI, because I know AI is a very touchy subject, especially with artists. I think a more homegrown feel is especially important in a urban landscape because I feel like urban landscapes are more made by the people that have created them. Like you have graffiti and things like that. I don't think AI can mimic graffiti and things like that through AI, and it probably will never be able to. So I'm glad they're not doing that. AI for programming, that makes sense because programming takes a long time anyway, and I think being able to not only cut development costs where you can, so you can provide other budget for other things, is really, really good too. This approach seems to be in line with Honkai Star Rail's team explored for AI development as of last year. Lee also explained that when developing ZZ's characters, the aesthetics for the characters came early on. However, it changed as development progressed. The planning team is responsible for the characters' mechanics, and the art team is now working closely together to create other characters. So Zenless Zone Zero releases on July 4th, it says right there. And it has, you know, our Cunning Hairs team. Look at everybody, you know, real nice looking. I love the poses that they do. Like the dynamic posing in this game is phenomenal. Zenless Zone Zero team in collaboration. The development team, actually, okay, so we need to read this too because it says Zenless Zone Zero team and collaboration because it's very funny. I wonder what they're going to say in this compared to what we just saw because they're obviously collaborating with Street Fighter to some degree. So I want to see what they're actually talking about. I don't know if we're getting like guest characters or anything like that, but I'm sure they'll talk about it here. The development team behind Hoyoverse's massive games has largely been a mystery, though Lee offered some context on how ZZZ team behind the handmade art came to be. Lee said it began with only 12 people in its initial demo stages in 2020 before growing to around 60 people during its first closed beta. Now it has ballooned to 400 members. Oh my gosh, that is an insane number. Zenless, and I mean, I think you'll definitely need it, especially with the coming days because it'll be an active development game. Like there's not really downtime in the live service market for those games. Zenless Zone Zero's development team is very young and a lot of us come to offer different backgrounds. Lee said, we have veterans among the gaming industry, but also young talents who share the same values and are all passionate about getting involved in creation of an interesting product. Indeed, some team members, including myself, had experiences working on Hoyoverse and other projects before. Take me, for instance. I used to take care of CG animation and video for Honkai Impact 3rd. Lee clarified that the ZZ team only works on their products rather than swapping between other Hoyoverse properties, and collaboration between different games teams are quite rare. Okay, so they're talking about collaboration between themselves. So basically the ZZ team is the ZZ team and the Honkai Star Rail team is the Honkai Star Rail team. However, initially, because there was no ZZ and things like that, there were people that did work on other projects is what I'm getting from that. Not that it doesn't exist though, but I'll check with other teams for an advisor for the technical aspects. Okay. So it's not that they won't do it, it's just that they haven't really. Okay. Now, here is the important part because as I was saying, I did hear a little bit about this part, and I think it has a lot to do with the video we watched at the very beginning. So, as it says, Zenless Zone Zero's inspirations, Lee acknowledged that the ZZ team received many comparisons to Persona 5 in both sharing and stylish city setting, though he said that they are hoping to create something unique, and though there are many visual and musical similarities, the heart of the game doesn't have roots in Persona. Aside from the urban setting, one element that reminds the Persona players of the Atlas series is ZZ's time system. Yes, they do have different days and things like that. And there's like an in-game time system, so that's cool. Similar to Persona 5, ZZ has 4 points in the day with different activities available as time passes, with mission completion and other triggers. Lee explained that the inspiration for ZZ's time mechanic was actually instead from a much older game from his childhood, Digimon World. Oh my gosh, I never would have thought about that because yeah, that game definitely did do it before Persona did it. That is a game I have not thought about in forever because I used to love Digimon games, like Rumble Arena, like the Dawn and Dusk games, Digimon World. Those were like the games that I grew up on for sure. But anyway, so yeah, it basically features a clock with specific events that happen at particular times throughout the day, and yeah, you'd have to make sure you did those things accordingly. But one major inspiration was surprisingly Street Fighter 6, and that is where we get to what we're talking about right here. Though ZZ is an action game more akin to DMC and not a fighting game, you can see the inspiration in fast combat and emphasis on stunning enemies. So it's really, really weird that they specifically name dropped Street Fighter 6, and I'm wondering why. So let's read more. Lee mentioned that he spent thousands of hours in Street Fighter series and learned about the feedback of its own action with how each punch feels like it on the flesh of your own flesh. Ooh, that sounds kind of crazy, Lee said. The ZZ team is trying to draw inspiration from their own combat to make each animation frame matter. And I do see that a lot because they do have a lot of frames I've noticed where they're either really heavy on the build up or they're really heavy on the release. So like you'll have like a little like moment where it's going like and then once it gets there it's gonna go boom, and you see like the not only the enemy react to it but the player reacts to it or the character reacts to it. And it's really, really cool. Like even like with Billy shooting guns, like you'll see him kind of like bounce back a little bit from the gunshots and things like that. And I really, really love the idea. I'm really, really loving what it's shaping up to be right now. Another major lesson Lee took from Street Fighter 6 was how to pace tutorials for newcomers coming into action games. You know, when you think about it, Street Fighter 6 did have a pretty good tutorial. It was pretty solid. And I think like not only was the tutorial good, I think the way that World Tour was set up, I think it was very smartly paced because, I mean, you of course had the repetition of fighting people, but each encounter felt a bit more unique. And I think even like when there weren't like fights and you were talking to NPCs, I think certain encounters felt more unique, I guess that's what I'm trying to say. If you play Street Fighter 6, you'll know what I'm talking about, and I'm sure most of you guys have played Street Fighter 6 probably. So anyway, pacing of all ZZ's mechanics has changed quite a bit between each of his closed betas, and Lee said the planning team had tried to make sure all important tutorials are more spread out, not to be overwhelming. So really, I think that really does attribute to Street Fighter 6. I mean, of course, a lot of other fighting games out here exist, but I think Street Fighter 6 is kind of the DNA or the backbone of fighting games, basically, where, you know, everything that fighting games are right now came from Street Fighter, and I think that is a very important point to bring up, as well as some of the innovations that Street Fighter 6 has brought to not only gaming but also the series itself, because Street Fighter was a very slow-paced game, and I think now it's a much faster game. But then you also have ZZ, which is also trying to be a much faster game, and they found the way to do it through Street Fighter 6. I love it. Anyway, let's wrap up this article and then we'll close out. The potential future of Zenless Zone Zero. When ZZ launches on July 4th, it'll be available on PlayStation 5, mobile devices, and PC. But Lee said they're not stopping development there. They're working to bring ZZ to the Nintendo Switch and Xbox too. Ooh, that's big. Though Lee framed the ZZ's arrival on these platforms as a hope and not something quite set in stone. As a live service game though, it is set in stone that ZZ will get content updates. That's what we figured. Lee confirmed this would include things like expansions to the cities with new neighborhoods, shops, and of course characters. We have a basic framework for the story timeline, but they're also a very flexible team. Lee said when asked about how far they plan the ZZ story, we constantly review what we've created in the past to see if we can continue to utilize it or if we have better ideas for solutions. One international Hoyoverse fan request has been a letter for better representation in characters, especially in Hoyoverse games that feature real-life inspirations of diverse cultures yet neglect to reflect the people who live there. Ooh. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, as someone that is also, of a darker skin tone, I don't see a lot of characters that look like me, in Hoyoverse games, and I think that was one of my biggest deterrents initially. Was not only that, but I mean, like I tried Genshin, I tried Hoyoverse. I just think, they kind of seem very, very cookie cutter similar, a little bit more. The gameplay obviously is really, really good. I'm loving Star Rail right now. Like Star Rail is like my thing right now. I actually play that over Wuthering Waves, to be honest with you. But we'll get back to that at another day. When designing these characters, we would always consider what players haven't seen before. We want to ensure characters of various types are included so players can look forward to their imaginative ideas and designs that will surprise them in the future. I think our team has added almost everything we wanted for the launch, and the game is ready for players. Lee said, however, of course, we have plenty of interesting ideas and plans for the game in the future, which we will share more at the right time. One thing I particularly want to share is the multiplayer battle mode is already under development. Hopes players can look forward to this mode in future updates. Bro, what? I mean, and I think that is another part where they're kind of like vibe checking what Street Fighter 6 is doing, because I mean, I think if you're looking to do a multiplayer battle mode, you're probably checking for like Street Fighter 6, you're probably checking for a few other games. Honestly, I have an idea on how they could make it work, and I'll probably talk about that in a completely later video because I really want to actually make an idea for that. I want to make a mock-up or something. That'd be so nice. But yeah, nah, I really think this is good work. This is solid work. Shout out to Hoyoverse for writing this up. I also want to shout out Hoyoverse for this amazing news. It's not only enough that we're getting something on the 28th, but then we're also getting something on the 29th. And that honestly is the craziest bit of news that I have heard yet. It's funny because I'm not gonna lie, like my boy Soul and EO have been actually getting me back on to Street Fighter 6. Just watching them play has inspired me to get that game back going. You know, normally I'm a Tekken guy. Shout out to the boy Ryu, you know. Anyways, that's all I have for you guys today. It's kind of crazy that this news decided to pop today of all days. There's been so much gaming news going on in the last like week or so, and I really just want to see Zenless succeed through all the mess going on. So if you do care about Zenless, please hit the subscribe button, support your boy please. It helps me out a lot. Please like the video, that helps me out a ton as well. And then comment down below, do you play Street Fighter? Do you play fighting games? Like, let me know. I want to know who my fighting game players are so I can beat you guys in Street, because I want to talk to you guys and I want to see what you guys think about this. I want to see how you guys feel about this. I don't know, because I know sometimes people say, you know, gacha and fighting games and things like that don't mix because one's a paid experience, one's not a paid experience unless you want to pay, so on and so forth. But anyways, y'all, until next time, everybody, it's been your boy ZZZettaSlow. Stay healthy, stay happy, and stay groovy. Love each and every one of y'all. We out of here. Peace.